Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ninth podcast of the Bronx Bomber Blog. My name is Brian Peng, and today I'm joined by Chad Rains, Phil Akre, and Sammy Criscitello. Chad, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I saved a couple lives today. I gave some blood, so I'm feeling like a hero.
That's good. That's good. All right. Phil, what about you?
Is it me?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm contemplating shaving the beard or not. That's about it. That's all that's going through my mind.
You should do it right now on the podcast, Phil.
Live shave.
It's a lengthy process.
All right, Sammy, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Just ready to get baseball back. Been covering the team here at JMU for the paper, so a lot of baseball for me lately.
Absolutely. All right, I'm now going to turn it over to Chad, who will moderate the debate this evening.
Thank you, Brian. That was Brian, our tech guy. He's going to listen up, but he hasn't been paying attention to Yankees baseball as vigorously as he should have. Before we dive into Yankees stuff, I got to address Phil's beard. He looks like a 30-year-old man right now, but like he's the only person that we have that's younger than me, so I'm going to claim that as often as I can. So I'm going to give you all the Phil look for a second. Anyways, all right, Yankees baseball. So we're going to talk spring storylines. So obviously the major storyline coming out of camp is Aroldis Chapman. I think that's what everybody's been talking about. You know, last year was A-Rod. This year it's Chapman, whether he's going to get suspended or not. I think the consensus now is that he probably will be suspended at some point, and then they're just trying to figure out like how many games it'll be and whether it includes spring training, which we've heard that it will, we've heard that it won't. So, Sammy, I'll let you talk first because you are making your highly anticipated debut. What do you think about the Chapman situation?
Personally, I think it's a really frustrating situation, regardless of whether you're a Yankees fan or not. I think that there's no proof that he's guilty of the fact, and I don't think that Major League Baseball really has the right to act until something is proven. Right now it's just speculation.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I think, obviously he wasn't charged with a crime, and his wife actually kind of rekindled her accusations on Chapman. And so obviously I think if he's not going to be charged with a crime, it is kind of overkill for the MLB to say, okay, now you're not going to be suspended. But, now you're going to be suspended even though you were not charged with a crime. But I'll let Phil go ahead and give his 2 cents on Chapman. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it is frustrating, because as you guys said, there's really not clear-cut evidence. But, when the Yankees made the trade for him, they went into it knowing that he was probably going to receive some type of suspension. And, earlier in spring training, it was kind of up in the air if he was going to be banned for spring training itself or at the start of the season. So I think it's good now that we know for sure that if he is handed a suspension, it's going to be at the start of the season. So at least he'll have the time during spring training to kind of get himself acquainted with how the Yankees work and the bullpen itself. So, it is frustrating, but I think, as it goes on, the Yankees kind of knew what was going to happen. So, it's not that big of a deal to me.
Definitely, yeah. Yankees fans in particular have kind of been monitoring this situation especially. And, I think I've been expecting him to get suspended all along, but it's definitely frustrating for Yankee fans for him to potentially be suspended even though he wasn't charged with a crime. Unlike Jose Reyes, who was charged with domestic abuse, will definitely be suspended. He's already on paid leave, so he's not even with the Rockies right now. But with the Chapman situation, we can talk about the rest of the bullpen. Obviously, if Chapman misses some games at the beginning of the year, you're going to have I'm sure they're just going to go back to Miller closing, Betances in the 8th, and then the 7th and 6th inning is where there's that gray area between how are they going to get to the bridge of Betances and Miller, and then Chapman when he comes back. Obviously, you've got Chase and Shreve coming back, which he was just absolutely money in the first half of last season. Then he fell off, and then you've got all those young guys that are coming in trying to prove themselves. Nick Rumbelow, Brandon Pinder, Jacob Lindgren, James Pazos. I'm going to let Phil talk first. Phil, how do you think the bullpen's going to shake out, and What do you think about these young guys coming up?
Yeah, as you said, I think the Yankees are gonna have to go with the expectation of the season. So I think that their plan, though, I mean, it's not set in stone, but 4 lefties and then 3 righties, and then the 2 lefties are obviously going to be with Chapman. It would be Chapman, Miller, and then I think the other 2 would be Shreve. Just because Shreve, as you said, he was absolute money the first half of last season, then he had the meltdown. But I still think that he showed how dominant he can be, but he'll just need to pick it up for the entire season. And then I think between James Pazos and Jacob Lindgren, I think Lindgren will probably win, only because I like Lindgren's stuff a little bit better. I think he's got more control, and also his curve is just nasty. Pazos has got good stuff. He's just got to get his control down. And then the righties, that's more like the toss-up, I think. It's kind of more like the iffy area. It's obviously going to be Dellin Betances. And then behind him, it's probably going to be, I think, Mitchell. I mean, because at this point for Brian Mitchell, he's 25, I think, so he's not old, obviously, but he's not young for, a young prospect. And I think right now he needs to as a bullpen arm, or if he can start. I don't really think he's going to get the chance to start this year, but obviously no one knows how that's going to go out with the Yankees, rotation problems. But I think it's going to be Mitchell just because right now he needs to show what he can do. And then behind him, it's probably going to be Rumbelow or Pinder. I'd say Rumbelow. I mean, it's not really a concrete yes or no for me because those 2 guys specifically were shuffled so much back and forth from AAA to the Bronx. But, yeah, I think Lindgren is probably the most intriguing arm out of any of them. But
guys, another thing to consider is that the Yankees currently have 6 people in the rotation right now. Obviously, they're not going to go into a 6-man rotation, so unless they trade someone in spring training, which I think is pretty unlikely, one of them is going to get bumped to the bullpen, and I believe that's going to be Ivan Nova. So you have to consider that that's going to take up a bullpen spot right there, making it even harder to win a spot out of spring training. I know that there are a lot of people out there that want to see CeCe just out of the rotation, but I think that they're not going to want to do that because of his contract, how much they're paying him. He would be wasted in the pen. I think that, maybe he'll find – he looked good at the end of last season. Maybe he'll get some gas back in the tank. But yeah, I agree that I think it's anyone's game out of spring training. I think right now there are no front runners. I think whoever puts up the best numbers in spring training is going to get the job. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Shreve. Tale of 2 seasons last year with him. And as you said, Phil, I completely agree with everything you said, especially about Lindgren. But yeah, I think it comes down to who produces.
So, yeah, I warn you guys I might get interrupted. My family gets pretty excited about Carolina basketball. They had to give me the update. But, yeah, I think as far as lefty goes between Pazos and Lindgren, Lindgren's definitely the higher touted guy. He's going to strike out a lot of batters. I think initially when he came up last year, he wasn't ready and he also wasn't healthy. He had the shoulder problems that ultimately caused him to miss, almost all of last season. And so he got hit around a little bit. But I think when he comes back, hopefully to start the season with the Yankees, he's going to be 100%, and you're going to start to see that potentially dominant left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen other than, Chapman and Miller, of course. And then I don't know if you guys talked about him, but Kirby Yates, the Yankees signed him. He's on the 40-man roster. He's got a little bit of MLB experience, so he's another right-hander to watch out for. He had god-awful numbers last year. His ERA was almost 8 in 20 innings. So I mean, I don't know if he'll make the team out of spring training, but it's like Sammy said. I caught the tail end of what he said. There's really nothing set in stone. It's going to be whoever has the best spring is going to win a spot in the bullpen because there is so much of a gray area there. Another Yankees prospect that we've been talking about a ton, he's been getting a lot of publicity, is Yankees first-round pick from last year, James Kaprielian. I follow him on Snapchat. He seems like a really cool guy. And he's a right-handed pitcher. He throws hard, mid to upper 90s. And he's a consensus top 5 prospect in the Yankees organization. I think he's 22 or 23 years old. I'm not exactly sure, but he's a guy he hasn't pitched above rookie ball, I don't believe, but some people are already talking about him potentially making it to the big leagues this year, kind of like a Michael Conforto from the Mets. He came out of nowhere. I think he came straight from Double-A to the Mets, and he went through multiple levels of the minor leagues last year, which potentially you could see that with Kaprielian. He's not on the 40-man roster yet, so you need some injuries to get him up, but James Kaprielian is definitely someone to watch out for. I'll let Phil take it over from here and tell you guys about what he thinks about James Kaprielian.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think he's one of the Yankees' most exciting prospects. I was just looking. He's 21, and the fact that he's being talked up so much, I think it's really exciting for fans and organization, obviously, because he's almost like another Luis Severino almost. I mean, Severino was an unknown, coming out of the Dominican Republic, young kid signing like that. And Kaprielian, I'm not exactly sure how to say that, but he was drafted and he was coming out of college as a very highly sought after, I guess you could say, arm. And the Yankees, they drafted him with the knowledge of hopefully thinking he could get to the the Bronx quickly. And right now he looks like it. Larry Rothschild and Brian Cashman and even Hal Steinbrenner haven't been shy to voice their opinions about him, and they boast about him, saying how well he can throw strikes, and he's a big guy. I think he's 6'4", almost 200 pounds. So especially given the Yankees' rotation and how they really haven't had a very good lefty. I mean, if you count CeCe a good lefty, but obviously his good days are in the past. But Kaprielian, I think if he's able, I don't think he's going to make it to the majors this year, as we were talking about earlier, but I think 2017 he could definitely have a chance to probably crack the starting rotation. I mean, if he can really progress to the minors as well as everyone's saying he is, I mean, why not? His fastball is good, and if he can develop more off-speed pitches too, I think he'll be pretty dominant.
Yeah, in his senior year with UCLA, he went 10-4 with a 2.03 ERA and 114 strikeouts and 106.2 innings, which I know it's college ball, but that's phenomenal. And he's coming in with a 96, 97 mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a nice slider, real good breaking curveball, and a changeup. And so I think that a similar situation with Severino could be happening. I mean, the Yankees saw last, I guess it was August. Yeah, last August. They were in a pennant race. Their pitching wasn't great, and they gave Severino the chance, and he capitalized on it. So I think if they're in a similar situation in a pennant race, their starting pitching isn't great, they can't make a trade. You could. I'm not saying it's definite, but I think that there's at least a chance that you could see Kaprielian up in the bigs come August or September.
So it's James Kaprielian. Yeah, he's a 6'4" right-handed pitcher. I know Sammy's gonna write his feature on him coming up. If you've been keeping up with our prospect countdown, we got to number 8 today, which was Wilkerman Garcia. He's another guy to watch out for. We'll get to him in just a second. But Kaprielian's gonna be coming up on. Sammy's gonna write about it. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Again, he never got above low A ball, which was with the Staten Island Yankees, and he only had 3 starts. His ERA was 2, but he only threw 9 innings. It's like his sample size in 2015 was very small. So I think it is a little premature for a lot of people to come. I think it's a little unfair for people to assume he's going to make the jump all the way from like low A all the way to the major leagues in one season. I personally don't see it happening, but we've seen crazier things, so it wouldn't shock me. But I wouldn't expect it. We'll get to our prospect countdown because that's what I just hit on a little bit. We talked about today, if you saw it, Wilkerman Garcia was he was our 8th ranked prospect in the organization, and he's a middle infielder, primarily shortstop, 18 years old, I believe. Sammy will take it away in a second, but he's got good size for an 18-year-old out of I guess he's from the Dominican Republic.
He's from Venezuela.
Venezuela, okay. So, Jorge Mateo is getting all this airtime, and on a lot of prospect lists, Jorge Mateo is coming up as the Yankees' top prospect. And but another website said that Wilkerman Garcia, if he puts together another good season this year, he could jump all the way up to the top spot. So, Sammy, you wrote that feature on him today, so you can go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so I think that Garcia is an extremely interesting case. He's 17, and it's weird to think that like I'm 19, so there's someone that's 2 years younger than me is being talked about as like potentially the Yankees' top prospect in the next year. But I really am excited about this guy coming up. As Chad said, John Sickles of minorleagueball.com said that in the next 12 months he could pass Mateo potentially is the Yanks' best prospect. They signed him in 2014. 2015, he played in the Dominican Summer League a little bit, and then moved to the Florida Gulf Coast League. And the most interesting thing, like he hit 281, got on base at 396, which is outstanding. Over 158 plate appearances, he only struck out 19 times, and so that's 12% of his total plate appearances, which I think is, even in rookie ball, I mean, that shows he's got a great eye at the plate, great bat speed, doesn't swing and miss very much. And so I think that this is going to be a telling year for him because he'll likely break camp and extended spring training because the Yanks' like lower level middle infield is very backed up. But I think very soon we'll see him in single A, really getting his chance to shine this season. So I think he's someone for Yankees fans to certainly keep an eye out for.
Yeah, if he's already got those the hand-eye coordination, the size, the tools, he can develop. I mean, he's already hitting well, but he can always improve his hitting ability. He can improve defensively. I saw somewhere Ben Badler, he's a pretty well-known prospect guy who covers a lot of these guys come out of Venezuela, Cuba, Dominican Republic. He said he's like a Francisco Lindor, except he's not as smooth defensively. So if he can clean that up a little bit and then, put another good year where he hits 280, gets on base like he has been and not strike out, I definitely see him in the top 3 in the Yankees organization because I think Sanchez is going to graduate off that list with plate appearances this year, and I think some people are going to move up and down, and I definitely think Wilkerman Garcia is someone to shoot up. Phil, if you want to, I don't know if you read the blurb on Wilkerman, but you can talk about Wilkerman or any other prospect that you want to bring up right now that's on our list.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I hadn't really heard much about Garcia before, we started debating about our prospect rankings. But looking into him, I mean, Sammy, you're right. I mean, he's only 17 years old. I mean, I'm 17, and it's just, you're right. It's crazy to think that there's a kid tearing it up right now in, rookie ball. But I mean, looking at his splits, he has a overall batting average of 299, and that's in a very short span, but that's really good. I mean, his on-base percentage is .414 as well, and I mean, as you said, Sammy, he doesn't strike out a lot too. He's a big guy, and the fact that he compares well to Francisco Lindor, you can't. You're not going to scoff at something like that. I mean, Lindor's one of the rising prospects in the game, even though he has one season under his belt. So it'll be interesting to see how Garcia kind of leapfrogs in the Yankee prospect listing. But one prospect that I think is really interesting for this year is Ian Clarkin. I feel like he's been talked about in the Yankee system for a few years now, but he was drafted only in 2013 in the first round, and I just love his mechanics. They mimic Clayton Kershaw's, not exactly, but the kid's big, and he's a left-handed pitcher, which the Yankees could really need. I mean, Sammy, I think you did the piece on Clarkin, and you're right when you say that the Yankees 2018 potential starting rotation, barring a trade or injury, could really be lethal with Severino, Kaprielian, and Clarkin. I mean, those are 3 guys that could really anchor the rotation for years, and Clarkin is an interesting case because he was out all of last year, but he's only 20 years old, so he's really young, and I think he's just someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it'll be a big season for him too because he, if you didn't know already, he missed all of 2015 with I believe it was a shoulder injury. Yeah, I'm sorry, I correct myself. Elbow inflammation. But in 2014, in his first year of pro ball, he pitched to a 3.12 ERA in Single A and A+, and he struck out 75 in 75 innings. So K per 9 at 9 is outstanding, especially in someone's first season.
Yeah, I think not Kaprielian. Clarkin's a guy who's definitely got to prove himself this year because he's still in the top 10 on most boards just because of his sheer talent ability, but his sheer talent level. But definitely after missing all of 2015 with elbow inflammation, he's going to have to prove himself if he wants to stay up on those lists. And but yeah, the 2018 rotation could be incredible with a seasoned Severino. Kaprielian will probably be in his second or third season. And then, of course, that'll be 1 year before the Yankees get Bryce Harper. I keep talking about that. I won't let that go until it happens. But now we can talk about, before we talk about we'll talk about Mark Teixeira news of the day. It kind of got a lot of buzz on Twitter, especially that he went on the record saying this is his last year with the Yankees. He went on the record saying he wants an extension and he wants to play until he's 40. And not only does he want to play until he's 40, he wants to stay with the Yankees. And I know with Greg Bird coming up, that got him a lot of heat on social media, especially. Some people were saying, extend Teixeira because he's been so good, or of course, let him walk because you've got Greg Bird ready to take the reins once he comes back next season, assuming he comes back healthy, which I do expect him to come back healthy because Luis Torrens, he's one of the Yankees' top catching prospects. He had the same exact injury last year, and he's going to come into the season most likely healthy. And so I think Bird will be the same way in 2017. He'll come back completely healthy, and it's just a matter of whether Teixeira will be on that roster or not. What do you guys think about Teixeira going forward?
You want to take this one first, Phil?
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when I first saw that, I wasn't really surprised to see Teixeira say that he'd want to play into his 40s, because, I mean, you look at his production last year before he went down with injury, and, I mean, he was, comeback player of the year talk. I mean, even some people were talking about him in the MVP race. I mean, he was putting up fantastic numbers. And then when you see what Greg Bird did in his limited time, but, productive time with the Yanks, I think that gave a pretty nice glimpse into the future of what what Yankees fans can expect out of first base. And I don't know if the Yankees would necessarily be willing to give Teixeira that extension. I understand, he has done a lot for the franchise over the past few seasons, and he's a fan favorite, and he's fantastic when he's healthy. But, I mean, considering his injury history up until now, I don't know if Brian Cashman and the Yankees, front office would feel comfortable giving him even a small contract money-wise, considering how his injury history has shaped up over the past few seasons. And when you have someone like Bird waiting in the wings, I really don't think Cashman would just go on for loyalty, and I think he would just let Teixeira walk. And I think it would be tough, too, because Teixeira, as I said, he's a great person, I mean, and he's a great player, but there's just, I think, too much waiting, and there's too many, good things about to happen to just let Teixeira stay on with the team. And even still, I don't think he would be playing first base just because his body would probably be wearing down, but that's kind of up in the air too because he's still a stellar defender. But I don't know. If it were up to me, I would say just let him walk and kind of thank him for all the good he's done.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, Phil is a huge Greg Bird fan. He's talked about him like he's better than Babe Ruth. I've heard him say it. So you gotta take what he says with a grain of salt. But
yeah. Phil was the one who was talking about Greg Bird's package and what he brings to the table.
Loves Greg Bird's package.
Man.
All right, and then the final thing we're going to talk about, because we got about 5 or 6 minutes left, we're going to wrap it up about 9. The Yankees potentially crowded AAA outfield with a bunch of MLB-ready guys. I mean, you got right now in AAA, Lane Adams is on the roster. He's the guy that the Yankees claimed off waivers. He's got a little bit of experience with the Kansas City Royals. He's right there as far as MLB readiness, and then of course you're gonna have Aaron Judge. That's 2 outfielders, and then Mason Williams is gonna be out there. Slade Heathcott's probably gonna be out there. Tyler Austin's probably gonna be out there a little bit. He'll probably play first and third, and then you're gonna have Chris Parmelee, which the Yankees just signed. He's gonna primarily take over first base and take Greg Bird's role on the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, but yeah. I think AAA's got a bunch of MLB-ready guys. We obviously saw what Heathcott could bring to the table last year. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Heathcott. I love the guy. we've talked to him before at the BBB, and he's a great person, and I think out of all the AAA outfielders on the cusp of making it to the league, I think he's the most ready, and we saw him hit the clutch home run last year, and he's got good speed in the outfield. I think he's ready. Mason Williams, of course, we saw him make an incredible sliding catch in the outfield, hit a home run in his first at bat. So he's also knocking on the door right there. Tyler Austin, he's kind of been forgotten about, but this is a really big year for Tyler Austin as well. I hit on it because I wrote his feature a while back. He was our 30th ranked prospect, and this year's really make or break for him because he's had some lackluster seasons where if he doesn't pick it up this year, he might not be back with the Yankees. And then, of course, Parmelee and Lane Adams. So that's a crowded outfield with a lot of guys trying to compete for time. And then, of course, with injuries, some of them will be in the major leagues this year. So, Sammy, this will probably be the last thing we cover tonight, and then I'll send it over to Phil. What do you think about the AAA crowded outfield potentially?
Well, first off, I think it's a good problem to have. I think that the Yankees MLB rotations, some days they'll take 4 bench players and I don't know, 7 or 8 bullpen pitchers. So I think that number will fluctuate versus 3 bench players, 4 bench players, depending on the bullpen. And so I think that some of those guys will get up in the bigs a little bit and show what they can do. I loved your piece on Slade Heathcott, and if you guys haven't read it yet, definitely check that out. The dude is definitely major league ready, and I feel like he's just wasting time in AAA. But obviously the Yankees outfield's a little crowded right now, so it's tough. But I think that it won't. I think everyone will get playing time in AAA. I think that the odds of Ellsbury, Gardner, and Beltran all being healthy all season are slim to none. So I think that we totally will see Mason Williams, Slade Heathcott, Tyler Austin, any of those guys up in the bigs at some point in 2016.
Right. Phil.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. I love Slade Heathcott as well. I mean, he's just an awesome guy, and I love the fire and the passion, the intensity he brings to the game. As you guys saw, or as everyone saw, with the home run against Tampa Bay. But it just sucks that he has to sit down at AAA because, as you guys said, he really is major league ready. But again, as Sammy said, there's no way the Yankees outfield is going to hold up without a glitch or injury the entire year. And obviously Aaron Judge is waiting down there just to come up, I think. But I think, as we all know, he needs to work on the finer points of his game, cut down on strikeouts, and AAA is the place to do that, not the majors. And then, we all saw what Mason Williams can do, and obviously Slade Heathcott. So they'll definitely be up, shuffling down to 4th. And then I think for a guy like Chris Parmelee, he was a signing that they just had a few days ago, but he's not really going to be an impact guy, obviously. He's just more for depth. It's just a matter of the outfield holding up throughout the year, so we're definitely going to see a few of those guys.
And then a guy that I completely neglected was Ben Gamel. Ben Gamel, he's obviously he had his brother play in the major leagues for a little bit, and he was a guy that kind of came out of nowhere last year. He hit above 300 in AAA. So, Tyler Austin graded out as our 30th ranked prospect. Ben Gamel was 25. Mason Williams was 16. Slade Heathcott was 11. Lane Adams was an honorable mention, and then Aaron Judge. We haven't gotten there yet, and I don't want to spill the beans on where he's going to be, but I don't know. He's probably in the Yankees' top 3 prospects. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but we'll see. We're counting down our prospect list. Tomorrow's number 7. He's another guy who definitely came out of nowhere again after some lackluster seasons, so definitely keep an eye out for that. It'll be up around 9 a.m. as they always have been. And that's pretty much all we have for tonight. Go ahead and share this link with your friends. Make sure y'all watch it. And thank you for tuning in. Sammy, if you have any final words. Phil, if you have any final words that you want to say, go ahead.
All I gotta say is I've got my tickets to Yankee spring training in 2 weeks, so I'll be reporting live from down there, and I'm very excited for baseball season to start.
I like it. Phil?
I got tickets to Mariano Rivera's retirement day. at the stadium the other day, so I'm pretty pumped about that. And obviously, I'm pumped for the season to start. It's been too long, so.
And
Yeah.
there's an outside chance that I will be in Tampa Bay Tampa Bay for
Oh,
a couple for a couple Yankees spring games. It'll probably be towards the end of March though, so I don't know if you'll be down there the same. And I don't know if that's
I'm the 8th to the 10th, going my birthday week, so.
right. I won't be there then, and I don't even know if I'll be down there at all. But we'll see, and that should be fun. But yeah, baseball's coming up. Thank you guys for tuning in for the Bronx Bomber Blog Podcast. I'm Chad Rains, Sammy Criscitello, and Phil Akre. Thank you guys. See ya.